Welcome, everyone, to Know Your Rights. I am Christina Laster, the Director of Policy and Legislation here with the National Parents Union. Glad to just be able to bring this show to you so that you can make fully informed decisions. I have good news. The sun is still shining, as you can see. The bad news is that I can't get it out of my eyes. So I'm probably going to be going in between my glasses. And you know what? Really looking forward to diving in to new topics and talking about stuff that affect our children and families overall. So as you can see today, we're going to be discussing the social determinants of health and what is the Healthy People's Initiative, right? Like, what is that all about? Really connecting you to the information so that you can know how that impacts you and really if it impacts you at all, and understanding what agencies are, carrying out that great body of work, making recommendations. What do those teams look like? It's always good to know what's all involved, right? And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you as well. So, like, while I'm doing the show, I might miss something, or you might have a question. Go ahead and drop your questions, feedbacks, comments in the chat. And so I want to get started. I'm going to get started by screen sharing. Hey, and so I'm going to first pop open this fresh sparkling water because I'm thirsty, y'all. I gotta get me some water, and sometimes I like to just have sparkling water. So you get to see me and hear me while I open my sparkling water. Go ahead and get your drinks, your notepads, everything that you need. So I wanted to let you guys know that the last couple times the show, and even though it's typically scheduled to go out at 11 Pacific time and 2 Eastern time, I have been doing the show on a kind of summer breakish schedule to accommodate for working parents that don't have an opportunity to tune in live until later in the evening or at night. Even I did the last one was the night owl edition. And I know some of y'all, if you like me, you're watching those Law and Order marathons at night, right? So when I do a night owl edition, you might as well just tune in and we can just share resources and really look at the way that Law and Order. I know some folks are watching like old episodes of Forensic Files. I'm one of those persons. Hey, I'm one of those persons too. So I stay up and I watch those marathons, and sometimes they keep me up. So if you are that night owl, stay tuned for sometime in the month that I will be doing another one of those night owl episodes. Watch, share this out. If you don't get to view the full thing, always come back and see the resources that I provide. Go and check them out. I want you to research and study and inquire for yourself, right? Fact check anything that I share with you, so that you can have all of the information. I'm going to be dropping the links to everything that I share in the chat. And so it's wonderful to see you all. Hi, I see all the highs in the comment field. Thank you so much. All right. So if you're looking for where to comment and you're viewing through YouTube or Twitter, I am able to see most comments that come in from Facebook. I'm working on being able to have the comments come out on the other platforms, but right now I'm able to tune in to the comments and that location that are coming through that location. So we're working the kinks out on that, y'all. Again, I appreciate you watching. Please share this out. So again, today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Healthy People's Initiative and social determinants of health, right? So I'm going to start screen sharing. Let's see here. And if y'all can't see my screen, wrong one. That's not the right screen. If y'all can't see my screen, I want you to let me know so that I'm able to fix it instead of like keep talking, and then nobody's able to see it. All right, let's go right here. Okay, nope, It's not showing the right one. 1 second. Try it again. Share screen. Yep. Okay. So I don't know how many of you have looked at this. Okay. I really don't know if you're even aware, right? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that it's not so small. All right. Thumbs up in the chat if you can see this and if you can read the words on there. I'll wait for thumbs up. Or just put a number 1. If you can't put a thumbs up, put a number 1 in the chat. We see it. Great. I'm doing good today, y'all. All right. So as you can see, again, we're going to be looking at this. When I do this, I have made this so that we can go line by line, link by link, as much as we can to understand who's involved, what's involved, and how that can impact us. So the first thing that I'm going to note for you guys is that Department of Health and Human Services, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, right there, right at the top, okay? Healthy People 2030. I'm going to drop this link in the chat just in case you want to follow along. All right. Got it. And so we're talking about what are the social determinants of health. And as you can see right here is an opportunity for you to go and look at other components of this work, right? Definitely not going to be able to cover every single aspect of this, but I advise you and highly recommend that you go back and you look at, especially if there's something in particular that captures your attention, go back and find out more about that area. So as you can see right here, social determinants of health have been defined as social determinants of health, and you see this abbreviation, right? So if you ever see that abbreviation, hola, from, SDOH, are the conditions in the environment where people are born. Y'all was born, right? That means you're people. We the people. Okay, so they're talking about us, y'all. All right. Live. All of us live somewhere, hopefully. I know that there are some unhoused people. They live outside, and that's the most unfortunate. But we all do actually have somewhere where we are residing with our bodies, with our persons, right? Learn. Where do you learn? That's education, y'all. They're talking about children, right? Or higher education where you learn, or maybe, some other learning areas, right? People are learning constantly. So that's relevant to you, right? I want you to get the notion that this isn't some far off in the distance type of work or conversation. This is directly related to you, okay? Play, worship, right? And age that affect a wide range of health, okay? Functioning and quality of life outcomes and risks, okay? We care about quality here. We talk about quality education. We talk about access to quality education. I typically talk about medical treatment plans, like what is the level of access to quality medical care practitioners, right? Or in that space of quality foods, right? Like some of you might think about quality in the sense of, if I go to the store and the milk is gonna expire the next day, that might not be as a great of a quality as a milk that may expire in a week or two, right? Like most people are not rushing to go get the milk that's gonna expire the next day, right? Most people are not rushing to grab things that are of lower quality. Everyone is looking for a level of quality that is a standard. There's a a baseline, a minimum standard of quality. And I usually say better than we know is bad, right? Whatever is better, way better than what we know is bad. So that's the way that I define it. That's my opinion. Put your definition or understanding of quality in the chat, right? I want to hear from you. Having our kids return to us in the same condition we send them to school, right? Or better, right? So we definitely know that structural harmful exploitation can happen if someone is created to be one way and enters that way and does not exit the same way or better. Okay, so I thank you for putting that in. Here you can see there are SDOH. I told you what that abbreviation stands for, that acronym. Like, you need to know these things so that when you see them in context or in other spaces, you'll understand what is being said, right? SDOH can be grouped into 5 domains. Okay, so let's look at those domains. Okay, and we're going to look at the domains more in depth. But for right now, I just wanted to call them out for you. And that's economic stability, education access and quality, healthcare access and quality, neighborhood and built environment, social and community context. Okay, so let's go down a little bit more, see what's all involved before we dive into some of those categories. So the social determinants of health have a major impact on people's health, well-being, and quality of life. And here are listed some examples, right? Safe housing, transportation in neighborhoods. Boy, oh boy, was transportation a battle like within the last, 6 to 8 months, right? Especially talking about transportation to school. That's one of those ongoing topics of discussion that we have. Like, do we have access, y'all, do we have access to transportation and access to quality schools, right? Where the transportation is going to take our children to quality schools, right? Neighborhoods, safe housing, racism, discrimination, and violence. If y'all don't think that violence doesn't affect your health, and to me, racism and discrimination is a form of violence, coming from a person with black and brown skin here. And so that's a form of violence, right? If you don't think that has an impact on your overall well-being and quality of life, think again, okay? Education, right? Those are determinants. Job opportunities. I usually call education a mode to freedom from oppression, right? A mode to freedom from oppression. Job opportunities, but it's not the only mode, right? And so we have to consider food, housing, all of these other things, right? And income. Okay, there's a lot of conversation about people being in debt because they wanted to pursue a higher education, and now they have the job opportunities that don't match the debt, right? And the income, criteria and what they're able to earn. Like, we've been having my allergies. My allergies impact me sometimes, so excuse the tissue. We've been having this conversation nationally. I know you're probably having it locally as well, and just that national overall look at what is debt costing us? Like, what does that mean, right? How is that impacting, though, our health, well-being, and quality of life? Okay. Access to nutritious foods and physical activity opportunities. Well, that is something that I was just talking about with the milk. I don't want to buy expired or rotten items, right? Like, I don't want to walk in and get rotten meat, right? And so I prefer more kosher type foods, and making sure that those are handled in a certain way, that they're not just, thrown around and dyed with colors. But that's my personal preference. Drop your personal preferences in the chat, right? I want to hear from you. Also, you have this access to physical activity opportunities. That's huge in the desert. I live in the desert, y'all. And right now it is a whopping 103 degrees, and it's not done climbing. Probably reach the top of the heat in an hour or so. And we have children, and they need to have physical activity opportunities, right? Some people might think, well, there's organized sports. Yeah, but you can't go outside. So there's months of time where, you can't access those common physical activity types of things like organized sports or whatever that may be. And so you have to have access and opportunities, physical activity opportunities, especially for children. Can't take them to the park if it's too hot or if it's snowing, and they need to be able to move, right? So one of the things, just on a side note, that I've done is like tune into a mile walk. They have a whole bunch of mile walks you could do from home, just in case you can't get out to a physical activity opportunity, that you can watch on what I call YouTube University. Okay, so that would help you be able to still be inside, safe from the heat or weather, incremental weather, and have those opportunities. We see access to nutritious foods. That is a huge thing. And there's food deserts and all kind of other stuff. Like, that is a huge thing. And so these are and have determinants and a major impact on our health, well-being, quality of life, right? So remember, health, well-being, quality of life. All right. Being fed floor sealants. That's not good. I hope. I saw something about purple water in Louisiana, which was a little bit concerning. I don't know what's going on with the water plant. Y'all can research that on your time if you want. But that, which you put in the chat, is definitely not good. So let's move on to the next thing. All right. So you have, I was just talking about polluted air and water, right? Polluted water. And language and literacy skills. Language and literacy skills. That's unfortunate. Someone put in the chat, Flint still doesn't have safe water. That's unfortunate. Water is a source of life and livelihood. I mean, just saying. Language and literacy skills, that is a part of the learning and the education. And what does that mean to be able to access things in your native language, right? And what does having literacy skills mean? And so, there is a show that we did in the past called Read or Die, where you can kind of dive into more information about the literacy component. Definitely suggest that you go back and watch that. All right, so here you have, again, the social determinants of health also contribute to wide health disparities and inequities. For example, I love the examples. Okay, excuse me. I have one of those cups that turn colors. So you have yellow, and then when it's cold, it turns green. So if you guys see the yellow on top and the green on bottom, that's because it's cold, ice, sparkling water, and it turns color. Just in case you want to know, we like to have fun here. Yes, I got it from 7-Eleven, just in case you want to go get you one. I don't know if they still have them, but I have like a pink and purple one, whatever. I'll use that one next time. And so, as you can see here is an example. I love examples, right? Being able to apply something directly to my situation. Examples help with that. So, for example, people who don't have access to grocery stores with healthy foods are less likely to have good nutrition. Okay. So we know if you don't have good nutrition, what you put in your body is the energy that you produce, right? And so what is that going to look like if you don't have good nutrition, right? What is your energy going to look like? What is your life going to look like? The things that, affect your health, maybe like diabetes, heart issues, all of that stuff. And that's what they're basically saying in this example. That raises their risk of health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. Yes. And even lowers life expectancy, relative to people who do have access to healthy foods. And so just promoting healthy choices will not, you guys see that, right? Won't. There used to be a great body of research and all this other stuff that said, well, if we offer healthy choices and let someone choose, then the outcome will be produce better health and decrease the health disparities. But that's not true, right? Just promoting healthy options won't eliminate these and other health disparities. Instead, public health organizations and their partners in sectors like education, y'all hear that? This affects you and your children, transportation, and housing need to take action to improve the conditions in people's environments. Okay? Conditions are very important. When you have an opportunity, I want you to go up and just look up how conditions are used, right? In correlation with what we're talking about, right? In environments, in education, in income, and what do the outcomes look like when the conditions are varied? This is part of what we're talking about. Conditions, right? Some people like to talk about conditional statements, right? If then, or when then. So if I'm gonna use one, if I only have access to bad nutrition, then I am not going to be healthy. Or when I don't have access to good nutrition, then I may end up with issues like heart disease, diabetes, and obesity, right? And so that has an impact on your quality of life, your well-being. Okay, let's go to see what's at the bottom of this. So there's a little nifty video here that describes that. You guys can definitely go back and watch. All right, so now we're talking about how does Healthy People 2030 address the social determinants of health. Remember SDOH, that's what that stands for, right? One of Healthy People 2030's 5 overarching goals is specifically related to the social determinants of health. Okay, and here's a quote. Create social, physical, and economic environments that promote attaining the full potential for health and well-being for all. In line with this goal, Healthy People 2030 features many objectives related to SDOH. These objectives highlight the importance of upstream factors, usually related to health care delivery, and improving health and reducing health disparities. More than a dozen work groups. Now, here's the part that I want y'all to be paying attention to, okay, as well as all this other stuff. More than a dozen work groups made up of subject matter experts with different backgrounds and areas of expertise developed these objectives. One of these groups, the Social Determinants of Health Work Group, you can probably type that right into Google and it'll take you, but I'm going to give you the information, focuses solely on SDOH, okay? And then right here, you have an opportunity to get email updates, visit the Healthy People 2020 work that was done, right? And some more information, and just knowing like who all is involved. You'll see that at the bottom, right? Coordinated by, and it tells you right there. It tells you. So they probably have more information, and that's what we are going to check out now. We're going to look at those other sites to know who is all involved in this work. Okay. If you have any questions, again, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about social determinants of health. I will be dropping links in the chat for you to go back and research and inquire and you know, just go and navigate through the website. If you want, that'll take you to more information and so that you can be fully informed. If you have any questions or feedback that you want to share, go ahead and drop it in the chat. All right, so let's go to the next thing, and that's me showing you the people in the departments and their roles, right? So you can make a determination about if these people, it's good to critique. if these people are experts, as it says, they're experts in the subject matter, um, or not, right? Or maybe you have some apprehension, and you feel like, community should be involved. Let's talk about that, right? So here we have, let's see, let's start with HHS, right? So I don't know how many of you spend your days navigating through these websites, but I do. I mean, I get some of their email updates and things like that. Like to be aware of what's going on. Right here, you see this note at the top. Okay. Let me drop this in the chat. Hold on 1 second. I think I'm on the wrong. Okay. 1 second, y'all. I lost my place. See what happens when you're talking and you lose your place? All right, let me put it from, I think I have it over here. Okay, view this tab. All right, got it. I got it back, y'all. I got it back. We're doing good. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat so that you can go and find out more information if you so choose. I recommend that you do. Right here, we just came out, had that big formula resource issue, and glad to hear from some folks that they were able to manage whatever. Some parents were breastfeeding, some parents couldn't, and they were looking for formula. So I'm so glad that all the babies made it through that. But if you want additional resources, you see it's right there, right? You see the information, right? And it's in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Creole. That's great. Okay, several languages. Go check it out. But today we're talking about the social determinants of health and who's all involved. So as you can see, the Health and Human Services was listed on the page of who is involved. And in order for you to know more about the Health and Human Services, go to the tab that says about, right? Programs and services, grants and contracts, laws and regulations. They even have a A through Z index, right here. More information, all of these things where you can search. They even have information about the Freedom of Information Act, right? Open government plan, reports and initiatives to help the public hold the government accountable. Definitely go check that out, right? A lot of times we don't know this stuff exists if we don't go and look for it, or have something else that we could be searching on for and then happen to stumble upon some information. And so I am bringing you information. Now there are people, I'm going to stop screen sharing. I'm going to go to this and then I'm going to stop sharing. All right, there are people who say, I don't care about what the government's doing. I say, okay, well, are you a citizen and a resident? Okay. You need to be informed about what affects you, what impacts you, whether you like your elected representatives or not. Okay, that's just my stance on it. Whether you like your elected representatives or not, you have to be fully engaged in understanding what is happening with the decisions and the decision makers and how they're rolling out that stuff, right? So whether you like it or not, whether your team won or not, you need to be fully informed in the things that matter and affect and impact you and your family. Okay? So that's the perspective that I'm coming from when I do this know your rights. You have as much information, having as much information as possible to make informed decisions. And then applying that to your future decisions around who you elect or who you vote for, right? That's a whole nother show. Matter of fact, I just finished 3 weeks of understanding the legislative process, bills becoming a law in Congress, and a week of presidential actions within that legislative process. And so you can go back and check it out. I also, did a breakdown of the U.S. governance structure. What does that mean? A bicameral legislature, executive, judicial, all of those things, those three branches of government, right? Executive, judicial, legislative. Why do we have a bicameral government within that legislative branch, right? Why do they want to fiercely guard and protect their own power and have incentive by the Constitution and to do so? And so you can go back and look at all of that. Today we're talking about the social determinants of health. All right, let's go back to the screen so you guys can see the other departments that are involved in this. Let's see. Here you have the National Institutes of Health. As you can see on the top, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Looks like you need to know what's going on at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, huh? So I'm going to put this in, go back, and see what they offer. Explore healthy vision resources. I have, really struggled with some issues with my eyes lately, and I went to the ophthalmologist, and he said, your vision's great. It's the allergies that are impacting your ability, like, and irritating your eyes, right? And so every time you rub them and they're itchy, you scratch them up, right? And you need drops. You need to have refresh drops. And so I was able to get those drops and able to get an antihistamine drop to put in my eyes. And it's been a tremendous help. Anyway, I say all that because they have right here, some things that apparently they are the focus when you go on the website. So definitely go in, look, you can see right here, there's news and events, grants and funding, right? About grants, how to apply, okay? Health information, right? Look at all those things. They even have a wellness toolkit. Check them out. Just check it out and see and see what you think. I mean, you don't have to agree just to check it out and like critique, like comment. This is the freedom that we have to be able to look at content and be able to critique or report or comment about it. And whatever. So go ahead and do that. Let's see. Stop screen sharing. I put that in the chat. Next one up. All right, here we have, a lot of people heard about CDC, especially within the last few years with the pandemic. You have Centers for Disease Control. Hey, they have the peanut butter. Now I've signed up for, the email stuff, and I got the peanut butter salmonella updates and decided like, whoa, I gotta tone down my peanut butter M&M consumption. And it might not have affected it, but I just wasn't really willing to take any chances. Okay. So as you can see, there's other resources there that you may have interest in. I don't have an opportunity to dive into all of this. You can see all of this information down here as well. Gives you the ability to contact all kinds of other stuff, just in case you want to review so that you can know who are the people that were listed as subject matter experts in the social determinants of health category. All right. I have Tabby in the chat. We have started to make our own. Yeah. I got a magic bullet, something like it. I don't know if it's the magic bullet, but something like it, right? In a juicer. And I'm with you on that. Like, just go get some walnuts. I even mix stuff like cashews, walnuts, whatever. I've seen people making nut milk. I haven't tried that yet, but I've seen people on YouTube University making their own like nut milk, like almond milk and stuff. And I haven't ventured out that far, but I might. So yes, always a good idea to try something out, as long as it's safe, y'all. I don't want you to be eating messed up peanut butter though. Okay. Okay. And if I toned down my peanut butter M&M consumption, then you can make some choices too. All right. Here you go, right here. Let's see. Now this one I have to say, I hadn't known very much about before, right? Like I didn't even know. I just didn't know until I started like really just diving into some other research. And so then that's when I located this in particular, right? What does that mean, right? What do they offer? What do they have? What do they do? You know, what's going on here? And so basically there's a lot, you know. They even have about organ donation, poison health, right? And so it's information that, you know, may want to tune into. Here's something about injury compensation, right? Just be able to understand what's going on. Okay, let's go to about. Let's go to about. Okay. So as you can see right here is the about. Okay. Like I said, I don't know much about this entity because I have not engaged very much. I don't know what they do. And so it would be best if you go and check it out for yourself. But they are listed on the group of subject matter experts who are making those social determinants of health decisions for healthy people 2030. All right, so we're going to stop sharing on that. It's the Office of Health Equity. Just in case you guys didn't catch that. All right. Now let's go back to the social. Oh, I'm missing one office. Let me go back. All right. So, and I got all of this based off of who was listed. Okay. So I might be missing some folks. I got it all based off of who was listed on that big list that we just looked at. Let's see. All right, right here. So you have the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion. Again, you see the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, right? So USHHS does a lot. And a lot more than that. You might want to just go in and look around so you can, I already put that in the chat. Okay, great. Find out, right? And so let's see what they're talking about on this page. Okay. Health and well-being matter. Look at some of those categories that we were talking about in the 5 domain, right? Food and nutrition, physical activity, health literacy. Remember, literacy was involved. Okay. They have healthy aging, right? You should know what is going on with this initiative. Okay. Learn about Healthy People, the initiative that sets national objectives to help improve health and well-being for all people. Okay, and then you have a note here. Learn how the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition works to motivate people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities to lead active lives. Some of you guys might be like, oh, that's my jam right there. They playing my jam. I need to know how the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition are working to motivate people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities to lead healthy, active lives. Some of you may be like, that sounds boring. All of this sounds boring. As a matter of fact, that it doesn't change the trajectory of the initiatives and the national objectives being set. So whether you're going to involve yourself in no or not, these things are going to move forward. Just saying, y'all. All right. And so I put that in the chat. Now we're going to go back to the main page so we can look at, and I'm going to cover this on multiple episodes because this is a lot, right? This is a lot, and we're doing this together, navigating. All right. The reason that I do that, just so you know, is so that you can see how to actively navigate the site. So I just typically will model for you how to do that, just in case, you haven't ventured out into navigating these sites, right? So some people, this is new information. They didn't even hear about this, right? And there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Just, the more you know. Okay. So here you go, right here. I want to see what is being said about economic stability. So I'm going to click on this. Okay. As you can see, here's the goal. Here is the goal. The goal is to help people earn steady incomes that allow them to meet their health needs. You can see some background information, right? In the United States, 1 in 10 people live in poverty, and many people can't afford things like healthy foods. We're just talking about that. Healthcare and housing. True, right? Healthy People 2030 focuses on helping more people achieve economic stability. Okay. So you can see right here on the side, very user friendly, objective status. Want to know what is going on, right? And, I'm not going to read this whole thing. You have time to go and do that, but I want to highlight here, it's talking about employment programs, career counseling, high quality childcare opportunities, right? And in addition, policies to help people pay for food, housing, healthcare, and education can reduce poverty and improve health and well-being. If you want to learn more about this objective types, right, go and look, right? So now there are people that are going to critique and saying, that's not the solution. Yeah, well, bring your information too, right? That's how you are able to make a decision fully informed. You don't just look at a site that you think is like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Like, I want to know, what is the opposition to this stuff saying, right? Like, what are their subject matter experts saying? I don't want to just be one-sided in my critique. In order to make a fully informed decision, we have to be willing to look at information that may be somewhat comfortable, and then some things that might be foreign or uncomfortable as far as like our understanding, and to broaden and expand that, right? And see what it really boils down to is the research, the data, and the facts, along with those lived experiences. So we can clearly go outside and maybe to our local stores and local neighborhoods nearby and see that some of these conditions are very present, right? Maybe where you live, it's not. Maybe they're not, right? And so some of these things you can just like see, okay? And some of them you've experienced. Some of them you may not have. And so there may be, from the persons that are critiquing the data, or the research behind the subject matter of social determinants of health, some other information. And I definitely say, look at all of that, right? Look at all of that so that you can have all of the information that you need. All right. And so you see right here, the status of baseline, getting worse, improving. You have Metter, exceeded. So it gives you what's going on right here, right? And all of these you can tap on to find out the objectives, more information. We don't have a lot of time to do that on this episode. Plus, I want to really urge you to take your time to understand this for yourself, okay? And so you see that here's some census data that was included in one of those references about income and poverty. This will take you to the census library and the publication about that information. Definitely look at the census information if you are interested in that. They even have on the census website classes and trainings that they provide, so you would understand how to disaggregate data on the census, the census in all of those, categories and populations and all of that. And so that's for you stat folks. Like, you like statistics, you like data, you want to know how this data is being disaggregated, how is it being used and applied. Sign up over there. All right. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Okay, and I'm only going to go to this next one, and then we'll finish this up the next time. Let's see. All right, so here we have education, access, and quality, right? Let's see what the goal is. Okay, so you see at the top again, all this other stuff. Go on ahead and you're going to browse down, and the goal is right here in that blue. In that dark blue. I don't want you to miss it, right? Like, she's like, what is she talking about? Goal? I don't see the goal. Well, I don't want you to miss it. It's right there in that blue. Okay. Increase educational opportunities and help children and adolescents do well. That's a good goal. I would like to increase educational opportunities and help children and adolescents do well too, right? But again, like I was saying in the beginning, knowing what well means, knowing what quality means. Right here, you can see that this says high quality educational opportunities, okay? I use the example of if I walk in the store and I'm looking for milk. Just to let y'all know, I'm really seriously using this just as an example because I'm lactose intolerant, so we don't drink milk in this house, okay? So if I walk in the store and I'm looking for milk, I probably am not going to be likely to want to pick the milk that's going to expire tomorrow. I'm going to probably be more likely to look for a better option, right? So you have better and then a standard of quality. You have to understand, are they the same? Are they being used the same? Would quality be the organic milk that they may have versus the milk that's not going to expire versus the milk that's about to expire? So understanding that stuff and how these terms are used and defined is very important to know. What is the level? What is the baseline? What is quality? What does that mean, right? How are these opportunities being worked on? What's going to be the outcome, the expected outcome? Okay. You have the ability to ask, they show email addresses, what is the expected outcome of this goal? Okay. The goal is to increase educational opportunities. Okay. Do you have a projected outcome? I advise that you do that. Okay. Healthy people 2030. We're talking about 8 years. We're in 2022, y'all. Just in case some of you needed a reminder, right? And the focus here for this goal is providing high quality educational opportunities for children and adolescents and on helping them do well in school. Remember, I just talked to you about better, well, quality, high quality. How are these things being defined, right? And so definitely when you have a chance, go through whatever section piques your interest, or all of them. I'd say go through all of them. Here's an explanation right here. Children from low-income families, children with disabilities, and children who routinely experience forms of social discrimination like bullying. Bullying has gotten so bad. I have to tell you. I don't even remember this being like this when I have my adult children and my children who are now adults in elementary and secondary school. And now it's like the bullying is after school. There's this whole social media thing that happens that proliferates bullying in ways that I've just really heartbreaking, right? Really heartbreaking. Talk to your children about bullying and the impacts of bullying. Okay. Definitely wouldn't want any of your children to be bullies, but just talk to them, right? Talk to them. And let them know how they can be impacted by that, or how that impacts other people. There are children who have committed suicide because they were bullied. And so I am really hoping that the climate, the school climate and the after school, where people carry these things out over into really mean and nasty things about other kids on social media and stuff, stop. That's not quality life. I could tell you that. And that's not wellness. That is not well-being. And there is something wrong with the bully too. Okay. Check on your kids, y'all. Go through their devices and see if they're involved in any kind of way in any of this, right? Whether they be the victim or the perpetrator, or involved with a victim or a perpetrator. Because I will tell you that my kids have brought to me their friends' situations, and their friends have said, I'm scared to tell my parents. And I have had to have that very tough conversation. Like, y'all know how I am. You got two choices. Either you want me to advocate for you, and I'm going to have to get permission from your parents, or I can have the talk with your parents and families. And there has only been one occasion where a child just went silent. Like, nope, I don't even want my parents to know. And that this person was being bullied. Okay. So don't assume that everything that happens is going to be brought to your attention. You have to check daily, especially seeing that this is a part of the goal to increase the well-being, quality of life, right? Things that have those social determinants of health. Okay. Bullying it can affect, or social discrimination, right, can impact mental health and physical health. And so that is going to be explained from the links that I shared with you. But I just wanted to take some time to really focus in on that bullying thing, because I think all of us, one person at a time, one community at a time, one family at a time, right? One state at a time, whatever you want to say, have the ability to say, we're not gonna tolerate bullying, and go tell your neighbor, right? So if the kids have a problem, let's figure out what's going on here. Okay. And I don't want my child bullied, right? And I'm sure I don't want my child to be a bully. Okay. So both are true in my household. I don't want my children bullied or discriminated against, and I don't want them to be those perpetrators either. That requires having those discussions with your children. Okay. So in addition, it's talking about places where children live with poorly performing schools, and many families can't afford to send their children to college. Well, I know that for some families, their children are preferring to go to technical, pathways. I just saw an ad for air traffic controllers, right? Like, there's a lot of people that were like, oh yes, that's a great opportunity. I'd like to be trained as an air traffic controller. I was, have a child between I have a child between the ages of 24 and 30, like me, who shared that air traffic controller information with my adult child, right? And so college is not the only consideration happening in those households. And then for others that, maybe want to go to college, there's a lot of financial considerations that do have to be made. So that is a part of this research around the social determinants of health. Okay. Yes, skilled trades, a lot of that. We used to have a program called, and now I'm telling y'all how old I am, but ROP. It was ROP. And you could do all kinds of stuff. Like, they had the legal secretary class and all this other stuff that they used to have way back in high school days. But, some of that's limited now, right? Objective status. Okay. So here you can see the goal is to increase educational opportunities and help children and adolescents do well. The status is, okay, right here, for the increase the proportion of high school students who graduate in 4 years is improving. So if you want to see that information, you need to go to this site, click on the status. Okay, I'm going to share it in the chat. Click on the status, okay, and see what does improving mean. I was like, I'm a curious person. I want to know, right? What does improving mean? Like, because my standard of improvement may not be what the subject matters, subject matter experts say as improvement, and that's okay. Those types of discussions where everyone doesn't agree stimulate innovation. Okay, let's find a way that we can, right? Like, that is the capacity that we have in our minds and our brains to stimulate innovation and creativity. We do not all have to talk the same or be in agreement. It's better to have discourse where, all kinds of ideas are brought up, and looking at the data and seeing the same data, but producing different theories of action, right? And then come to a consensus on what is the this group, if you're in a group, a work group or a coalition or a council or whatever, what are we going to agree on as far as that action and that change and those strategies, right? So as you can see right here, again, I know I'm getting off on a lot of tangents here today, but this stuff is very provoking. Improving, it is said to be improving. The increase for the proportion of high school graduates in college, the October after graduating, okay, baseline, okay, and these are research, okay, so you definitely want to go there. Now let's look at the children, and then we'll wrap this thing up for today. Here you can see where they're at, okay, and here it tells about the objective types, okay. It tells you can click on them and they'll take you right there. People with disabilities, okay. Baseline, schools, okay. Increase the proportion of fourth graders with math skills at or above the proficient level. Improving, right? This one, increase the proportion of fourth graders with reading skills at or above the proficient level. Getting worse. Click on that, figure out why, what's going on there, right? And here you have the interprofessional prevention, education and health professionals training program. Other topics that you might be interested in: adolescents, people with disabilities, schools. You can click on all of those. Some of y'all, I'm gonna stop sharing. Some of y'all might have a meeting and people say, well, I haven't seen any information about that. Okay. And of course, they're going to want to see information from a reputable source, right? Credible, reputable source of subject matter experts. You can share, because I've clicked on several tabs and several components, this information, even from the census, download it. Census.gov, right at the bottom. Like, are you going to consider this information? This seems pretty accurate, right? So that's one way. Having this information helps when you're looking at advocacy and activism around some of these areas. You have the data, you have credible information, you have other sources of information, and you have your lived experiences, right? And so, I wanted to just close with the understanding around this whole thing. Okay, so if you look this up, you might find Healthy People 2020. Okay, you might find Healthy People 2020. You can match by measuring the goals, right? And if they've been met. Now we have Healthy People 2030, which is an extension of the work. Okay, and so check out that information. I'm going to drop it in the chat too before we finish. I don't know if let me see. I should have it right here. Actually, you know what, y'all? I was just playing. I ain't dropping it in the chat because I don't have it up. But go to any of those website resources that I shared with you, and look that up. And you will, or you can type in Google "Healthy People 2020 Social Determinants of Health." What find information for what happened. Now I'm going to bring this screen back up so that I can just point you into the direction that said. Let's see. Gotta find it first. 1 second, y'all, and then we're gonna get out of here. Let me know if you have a subject matter that you would like for me to cover, and I will do my very best to cover that topic, or that area of policy, initiative, campaign, whatever it may be. Even if there isn't anything that is too hard or too simple, like let's just dive in, right? And so I want you to know that while you're watching this, you have the ability to ask me. I'm sorry, I just found it. To ask me for certain subject matters to cover them. I will be upcoming going over the United States child welfare system so that you understand what does that mean, like child protective services, adoption, foster care, all of those things. And so I'm going to do probably a 3-week series on that. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to involve the history and development of these laws. And there's a lot regarding and it's a very complex regarding the U.S. child welfare system and agencies that are involved in that, and how that has evolved over time. Okay, so I did find the 2020. I want to bring that up really quick so you know what it looks like and you can land on the right spot. Sometimes, y'all, I have clicked what I thought was the right website, and it was like some, I don't know, scam website. Be careful, the scammers is out. All right, let's see. Here you go. Right here. So they had this in 2020, right? Healthy People 2020 exploring these questions by, okay? And so as you can see right here, there is determinants of health fall under several broad categories. Policymaking. You see that? Okay. Anytime I see policy, I'm like, whoa, okay, wait, I need to pay attention, right? And so social factors, health services, individual behavior, biology, and genetics. Definitely go back. You can see the interagency work group right there. You can see the development of healthy people 2030 framework, public comment, advisory committee. Who's that, right? And can that be you? On committee reports and meetings. So I just wanted to, start to really touch the surface of some of this information. I hope that helps you. I hope that it's useful for you in some avenue of advocacy or activism, and it increases your desire to study, inquire, and research so that you could be fully informed and that you can know your rights. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this information out. And I will see you again next week for Know Your Rights. Have a lovely evening and a wonderful day tomorrow and a safe weekend. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. You've been watching Know Your Rights with me, Christina Laster, the Director of Policy and Legislation, National Parents Union. If you haven't signed up, I forgot. I have to come back and say this. If you haven't signed up for information from National Parents Union, go to our website, and let me drop that in the chat really quick. We have toolkits there. We have campaigns that are active right now. A lot of people ask me, how can I get involved in this work? And do we have a chapter or an organizer or a delegate or whatever local? Yes. So you can get involved by going to nationalparentsunion.org. Look at all of those links. I keep showing you guys how to navigate different websites. And so look at all of those links. Look at the about page. Who are we, right? Our mission, our vision. What is it that we do here, right? And download those toolkits and share them and help. And, tell your neighbor. So that information is provided to you right there on the nationalparentsunion.org page. Be checking out our Facebook page during the week, and I think maybe on all of our platforms, Twitter and YouTube too. We have Wendy Gonzalez Neal, right? Hey, Wendy, who has a show, right? Check her show out, Maritza, right? She has a show during the week, and we have polling data. We have resources available that will help you as you navigate through this parenting life and your advocacy around your children's education and just overall well-being. All right, so I'm really closing now, y'all. I hope that you stay well. I hope that you all thrive. And I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.